So in your house, you've got, and I've seen it, he's got this massive picture of Jesus.
Do not.
So in this...
You're talking to
wait. This picture, do you go, that's just a picture of a man.
You're talking to
That's
the guy.
just a picture of a dude. That's not a picture of Jesus.
You're talking to the guy that sharpied out the pictures of Christ in the children's Bibles.
Oh, I applaud you.
No,
that's
I'm
wonderful.
saying I think I was wrong to do that.
So we're going to talk about images of Christ, and we've held off on doing this, and it's kind of pertinent right now because of what just happened with Pennington at Southern.
Sure.
Is showing The Chosen, which is, honestly, that's not the issue with The Chosen. I have bigger issues, the fact that it's a Mormon. And
my issue with The Chosen is that it's a show created by heretics.
Yeah.
Like Mormons are in no way, you can't make an argument that Mormons are part of the church.
Yeah.
Whereas I would argue that you can make an argument that Catholics are, in the sense that they're Trinitarian.
Sure.
But Mormons are in no way can be considered part of the church. They're not Trinitarian. They completely botch it on who Christ is.
Yeah.
Like they're flaming heretics.
Yeah.
Like they're worse than almost anything.
Yeah.
So that's my issue. Is like you're watching a show, even if they weren't showing images of Christ.
Yeah.
We would all have a problem with it because
you should have never started watching it based upon who is making it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's just
Would you read books about Christ by Mormons?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
We've had this experience where we do like a quiz that happens at Christmas time, so around the incarnation, questions and stuff like that. And then you get all these wrong answers from people that are answering things that never happened. And you go, well, where did that come from? Where does it come from? Like, yeah, there was a little drummer boy, next to Jesus, that kind of stuff.
Sure, no one has ever said that.
I know, but I'm just giving you an extreme example here.
Yeah.
And so the question is, where does that come from? Well, it comes from ignorance and love of the actual word.
Or the three wise men being at the manger.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, or the age of Jesus,
Yeah.
timing, all that kind of stuff. Well, where's it coming from? It's coming from the movies we've seen that formulate in our hearts and our minds. And so the younger we expose people to that kind of stuff, the more it affects them long term. And they think they know it, but they know it from movies.
Sure.
This is why, like John Moody, gets so angry about the Lord of the Rings movies versus the book.
Yeah.
Because the book is right.
Yeah.
And the movies is an adaptation of that. And so people go, Aragorn said this, and then there was Arwen coming in,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not in the book.
Not in the book. It's not in the book.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think that's probably, just from not an images of Christ issue.
Just a theological standpoint.
I think it's foolish.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that word.
Yeah.
Foolish to expose your children to this type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. I've looked at a lot of, for family worship, we've looked at a bunch of Advent books that go through Advent.
Yeah.
Sproul does one that's really good. Spurgeon had one. I want to do J.C. Ryle's this year.
Yeah.
But you don't want to use the ones from somebody that's like distorting the story.
Yeah.
Or embellishing or whatever it is. You don't want that. You don't want a distorted picture of Christ in your children's minds.
Yes.
And so that would be my argument against The Chosen.
Well, okay. Well, I'm setting you up if we're going to be talking about images of Christ.
I just set myself up.
You did, because there's, I would say you're introducing a poison, or fecal matter,
sure,
visual fecal matter into your own imagination, so that when you do read the text, now I see Mel Gibson, his vision for the crucifixion,
Passion of the Christ,
the passion, So I see what he saw, and that's going to be problematic. So this happens with the Jesus film. This happens with VeggieTales. I don't know, whatever.
Sure. But nobody thinks that Christ looks like a cucumber, even children.
Right, but your thought would be, well, nobody's worshiping these images. They're not worshiping the Jesus film. They're not worshiping these kind of things. But I'm going to just suggest that doing that has introduced visuals into the mind.
Sure. So to step back, we're arguing about whether the images of Christ are a violation of the Second Commandment specifically.
Yeah.
And because I used to be a Bachamite, I held this view for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, we had no children's Bibles, nothing,
Sure.
nativities, anything. That's
Yeah.
a violation of the Second Commandment.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I do not believe that images of Christ are a violation of the Second Commandment.
Yeah, I do, and it's not just because of this issue of the infiltration of the heart and the mind, but I think I think there's a very thin line between veneration and worship, and so as we
Sure.
think about Eastern Orthodox and those that utilize imagery and icons and those
Yeah.
kind of things, I'm going to have a sharp reaction to that, and I have theological reasons for it. One is I do think it is a direct violation of the Second Commandment, but more importantly, it's impossible to capture Jesus's image because of his dual nature, and we are forbidden directly to try to depict God.
Yeah, if someone's trying to depict the divinity of Christ in one, I think you can make that argument. But
That's what the
not-
icons try to do when they have the glow behind. They recognize
Yeah,
that.
but they do that with saints too.
I know,
like-
but they recognize that there is some divine nature or divinity to them, and so they put that on there to show that they're divine.
But no, they would do that with Moses or anyone. That's showing.
Yeah, but those are the divines. Those that have gone on into heaven,
But
into
they're not
glory.
saying Moses is God. Or,
No, of course not. But they are saying that about Jesus.
Yeah, sure. But I'm saying they're doing it to both, so that's not a
But
good argument.
yeah, I mean, maybe you don't understand, but that's why they do that. Is because they are with they've gone on. They're sainted. They're divine.
Well, saints aren't divine.
No,
And
that's
they're not arguing
Dude,
that.
you know this, that in the Reformed tradition, we call those that have passed on before the divines, right?
Yes,
And
but
why?
they're not saying that they're God.
I'm not saying that they are either, but they're depicting that imagery.
They're depicting that they're God.
No, dude. They're depicting that they are part of that, the divine presence.
There's a holiness.
Yes.
Yeah, same with Christ.
Yeah. No, with Christ, it's because he is God.
Yeah, but you're arguing that they put the halo because he's God. They do it to others too. They're not saying they're God.
Yeah, whatever. They're trying to depict that
It's a bad argument.
No, it's the right argument.
No, it's not.
You just don't understand it.
No.
That's okay.
I-
it's okay.
I was convinced on this by R.C. Sproul.
No,
Just
you
to
weren't.
give my bona fide. Yes, I was.
Well, no, let me ask you. What did R.C. Sproul say on this topic?
That we're not monophysite.
Yeah, what's that mean?
It means that Christ he doesn't have one nature, he has two.
Correct.
So we have to distinguish between the divinity and humanity of Christ.
So you're going to.
So the depicting of
So
the
you're going to
humanity of Christ-
compartmentalize the hypostatic union. Yes, you just did.
No, you have to distinguish.
It's heresy.
You don't divide. But you have to distinguish. You have to, or you're monophysite, which is heresy.
How are you depicting the divine nature?
I'm not.
So you divided him.
No.
That's the whole point. You cannot do this with Jesus.
No.
So this is why you can never depict him.
Yes.
Because to do that is to violate the hypostatic union.
No, you
Yes.
could take a picture of Christ and it wouldn't be a dividing of his nature.
Yeah.
This is why, we see images of Christ even painted in the catacombs in the early church. Like, this was very early on. They're depicting Christ.
I don't
They're
care
not trying
if
to
everybody from history has always done it. It doesn't matter, but that doesn't prove that was that's what the apostles did. Well, first off, let's go there. Is there those that saw him, did they ever hey, let's get a pencil sketch. We need to have some visuals.
We don't.
Let's
we don't
charcoal. You know what? What do you mean we don't know? We don't have those.
We have images in the catacombs.
We
in
do
very
not
early
have
church.
images from the apostles.
Yeah,
Those that actually saw him.
We're assuming they didn't draw the ones in the catacombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But there was never
a long time after.
Never in
the apostolic era.
Yeah, never in the New Testament are they say you cannot draw a picture of Christ or you can't visualize him in your mind.
Right, they never did.
Is
right.
it wrong to visualize Christ in your mind?
Beyond
when
that,
you're reading
they don't tell you what he
So
looked
when you're
like.
reading a story in the New Testament about Christ,
It's
to
different.
visualize that, why is that different?
Well,
Are you visualizing the perfect
the
image
direct
of Christ?
command in Exodus is that we are to not make images.
Uh-huh.
So that, and what was that? Those were depictions of him.
Depictions of
So-
God.
Correct.
Yes.
So in my mind,
Or to
I
say,
never
"This is
do
God."
that. I never do that.
You never picture the story in your mind. Christ is walking on the water. You don't picture that in your mind.
I don't visualize his face, his features.
So you're
any
saying
of that kind
it's
of
wrong
stuff.
too?
I think, especially if you worship that, which you would end up doing that. I think that
No,
would
you
be a
wouldn't. You
violation.
wouldn't end up worshiping that.
But anyways, that's actually something that we're encouraged to do from the Word. That's what the Word does. We do form in our hearts and our minds the sights and the smells and those kind of things.
But
Now,
that's a distorted view.
no, it's derived directly from the Scripture.
But it's not the perfect image of Christ.
Of course, it's not. I'm not even looking at his face or any of that kind of stuff. I would never do that. Why would you do that? Because
No.
you don't even know what he looked like.
No, but I'm saying
And
visualizing the story.
You're blowing over a bunch of stuff here. So the Scriptures, nowhere do the apostles who saw him tell us what he looked like. They don't describe him.
Well,
They
they
don't
do
have-
describe him. but-
No, they don't tell you. He had a sharp nose. He had a beard that was,
Yay long or
yay
whatever, yeah.
long, and he any of that kind of stuff. We're given things like we know that he wore a robe, and so we would go, okay, what's a first century robe? And so we can think about what he would have wore. We
know he wasn't handsome, or we assume that from Isaiah.
Yeah, so from Isaiah,
Yeah.
but what is ugly? What is, he didn't have any, whatever it says that we might look upon him
Yeah,
or
yeah,
those
yeah.
kind of things. That's actually prophetic. That's
Yeah.
not the
No, I
direct-
know, but I'm saying that's the only thing we.
So they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't give us that. And then second, they didn't actually draw or do anything that we would see any type of imagery. You're talking
That
about
we know of, yeah.
the catacombs that you're talking about, that's like a lot later than the apostolic era.
A lot is.
But still, it's not the apostles. Those that actually knew what he looked like, they didn't have that.
You could have had people
So
there
we
that
have
had
this-
seen Christ.
So we have this gap where we don't know. And so anything that anybody speculates about what he might have looked like is just making stuff up. And that's their mind, their imagery. And so my question is, why would I want your idea of what Jesus looked like in my mind? As a preacher, I preach the word, I preach where he went, I maybe give you some cultural context so you can see, clothing and that kind of stuff. And yeah, of course, you're going to form something in your mind, but you're not going to then go and draw it and then make a picture and now this is codified so that I can show you and I can show these people and I can push it around to other people. To me,
Yeah,
that's a direct violation of the commandment.
I don't think it is.
I do.
No, I'm not. I'm just not convinced.
Here are
But
my 15 reasons.
15. All right.
So, because God forbids all visual representations of himself. I don't have to go to those passages. Second, because Christ is God and to depict him is to depict the divine. Now, but you're saying you would divide those two things and you would only
No,
show his.
I wouldn't divide them.
Okay.
I would distinguish.
How is this? Then how are you showing that? You can say, okay,
Did God die on the cross?
here's the question: are you showing the divine
Hold on.
side?
Did God die on the cross?
Of course not.
Okay.
He can't.
So you have to distinguish.
Yeah, but you can do that from a theological standpoint. Tell
That's
me
what
how
I'm
you do
doing.
that visually.
How you distinguish? Because you're depicting his humanity, not his divinity.
Yeah, that is the problem. So because Christ is God, and to depict him is to depict the divine, because his human nature has no separate existence from his divine person. Does it?
No, I mean you can't divide it. No.
Right, you
But you have
cannot.
to distinguish because God didn't die on the cross.
Yeah, but you're not distinguishing what you mean between the word distinguish and divide, because you're actually showing one
No, I
and
just
not
did.
showing the other.
I just did.
How are you showing them both then? You can
Did Christ die on the cross?
Man, they're gonna love this episode.
Did Christ die on the cross?
No, again, you're doing it verbally
No,
and
no,
theologically.
hold on. Did
I'm
Christ
asking
die
you,
on the cross?
If you drew a picture, how would you distinguish between his human nature and the divine nature?
Did Christ die on the cross?
Listen to me.
Answer
to
the
me.
question.
Draw a picture.
Did Christ die
Draw
on
a
the
picture.
cross?
We're talking about images
Why don't you
of
answer
Christ.
the question?
Because you know the answer to that. Yes, of course, Christ died on the cross.
Did God die on the cross?
No, he couldn't.
So you have to distinguish the two natures of Christ.
Visually?
They're distinct.
Visually?
When you depict Christ, you're depicting his humanity.
I'm not depicting him at all. I don't want to draw him. I don't think you should.
When anybody depicts Christ, they're depicting his humanity.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't think you understand the issue, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I completely understand the issue.
I don't.
Yeah.
Number 4, because any image of Christ presents a false Christ, a mere man without divinity, without deity. Right?
I mean, you're saying that
Any image of Christ that you've ever seen cannot depict his deity, so therefore it's a false Christ.
but an image of your mind is the same thing. And I don't think people can avoid imaging Christ in their mind.
I don't know why you want to keep running to the images in your mind situation, because when they
Because we
express
think
command,
of these things.
we are supposed
But the express command is depicting God, the divinity of God.
yes.
We're not
How?
depicting the divinity
How?
of Christ.
In an image, right?
In an image and saying that this is God, we worship this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like R.C. Sproul painted
So,
pictures of Christ,
well-
he wasn't bowing down and worshiping the pictures.
We'll talk about Sproul here. My question is how can you, if you have
in
any
the same way
depiction,
that nobody bows down and worships I say no one, some probably do, but no
Exactly,
one's
bro.
worshiping a nativity.
yeah, you are.
Even Catholics are not bowing down and saying, this is God, I'm worshiping this.
Do you have any argument for my statement that every depiction of Christ must be a false Christ because it cannot show his divinity?
We're not saying that the image is him. It's a depiction of him in the same way that a picture is not me.
It's an image of
A
him.
picture of me is not me. So I'm not, when I look at a picture of me, I'm like, that's me. No, that's a depiction of me.
So
even
you would,
that is a
so
distortion.
you would even tell an Israelite who's got a golden calf, say, "Hey, that's not Yahweh," and then I don't know. I know it's not Yahweh. I know that's not Yahweh. Was that okay for them to do that?
No, they were worshiping that. You tear it down.
Okay, but what about the ones that weren't? Is that still wrong to have done?
No, a picture of a cow is not something to be destroyed. An idol that you are bowing down and worshiping is.
What if I don't worship it?
Yeah, you can have a picture of a cow in your house.
What would you call that?
A picture of a cow.
So in your house, you've got, and I've seen it, he's got this massive picture of Jesus.
Do not.
So in this,
You're talking.
oh
to the guy.
wait, this picture, do you go? That's just a picture of a man.
You're talking to
That's
the
just
guy.
a picture of a dude.
You're
That's not a picture of Jesus.
You're talking to the guy that sharpied out the pictures of Christ in the children's Bibles.
Oh, I applaud you.
No,
That's
I'm
wonderful.
saying I think I was wrong to do that.
Would you have said that that's a picture of Jesus
What is?
in your book, or the? Would you do it now?
It's a depiction of Christ.
So you're distinguishing
It's not
a
Christ.
depiction of him.
It's a picture of
So
him.
this
Yeah.
image that you have in your house, you would say this is a depiction of
I
Jesus.
don't have an image of Christ.
This is just a depiction of Jesus.
Yes.
Could the Israelites have done that? This is just a depiction of God, but
No,
it's
'cause
not. It's not. That's just a cow.
God hadn't come in the flesh. They couldn't do that. No.
All right, here we go. I think you've. Well, we'll let them decide
I'm
on
with
this one.
Sproul on this, man.
Okay, you can't just retreat to some dead guy that we can't ask these questions of. All right, because faith comes by hearing, not by seeing. Romans 10:17.
Yep.
That's why we shouldn't have an image of Jesus.
The point of images is not to produce faith in people.
Oh, it certainly is.
No.
Ask anybody who has this. That's what it helps. It helps.
It's not why Sproul did it.
That's why the whole Jesus film is for the purpose of causing those that read it to have faith in Christ. That's the whole purpose of the Jesus film.
So they didn't speak in the Jesus film, or like.
Yeah, they're talking in there, but that's.
I've never seen the Jesus film. I'm not arguing for it. Okay.
Yeah, well, you're kind
I
of
have
side
no idea.
arguing for the chosen, but we'll keep going here.
No, I'm not.
Faith comes by hearing, and how is that?
We preach the gospel.
Right, we preach, or and that obviously it must be derived from the scriptures. The only thing we can talk about is what the scriptures say, and so we don't even want to add any words to the scriptures. But when we depict Jesus, we are adding words to. There's no description of Jesus, but we immediately add to that, right?
Why?
I know. Why would we do that?
No, I'm saying why is that adding to? You're not trying to change it, add anything to the gospel.
You most certainly do. You give height and
No, you don't.
dimensionality. You give, especially when you have a movie. Now you have an actor's his depiction of how he words it, how he says things, how he responded to this particular situation. Now we see that extra layer that's not in the scriptures, but we've added it to it. It puts flesh and bone, literally, on what the scriptures should say. That's, the best case scenario, which I would say the Jesus film is the best case scenario. The Chosen actually adds scripture, adds things.
Well, my problem with The Chosen is what they're adding theologically, verbally, all those things.
Well, they're not just adding words and those theological things. They're adding that volume to him, how he responded, how he did, all those kind of things.
Yeah,
I think that's a problem. So faith comes by hearing, not by seeing. So
that is a problem, but that's not the issue. There is not the images of Christ.
All right, and some of these are related here, and they're building on each other. So because God is to be worshipped by faith, not imagination. Because,
Sure, but you can't avoid thinking about.
Sure.
It's not wrong to think about Christ, what he would have looked like in making tables, and I believe he was masculine. He was a carpenter. I think he was a big, strong guy.
Yeah, but do you see the pores on his nose? Do you see that blackheads? Do you see that what color his eyes were? Are you seeing?
I think it's good to consider that he did have
eyes,
pores,
sure,
and eyes, and he did have those things.
Sure, but I want to visualize that. So the moment I see an image of Christ that does that, now I see it. And it's formed differently than just what's happening in my own imagination. And this is the next one, because images replace revelation with invention. That's problematic for me, because movies humanize and dramatize the Son of God, turning the holy into some sort of a spectacle that we can watch.
Yeah, I'm not arguing for movies of Christ.
Okay, I'm almost done. Because they assign sinful human emotion and imperfections to the sinless Savior.
Say that again.
They assign sinful human emotions and imperfections to the sinless Savior.
Images don't do that.
Well, movies do.
Sure, yeah. But that's not my argument.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing for movies of Christ.
So you're just arguing for a drawing or a statue.
I'm just saying that
it's freezing out here.
It is so cold. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're not shaking because we don't like arguing with each other. We're so nervous arguing with each other. Yeah, I was fine when I got out here. But
yeah, well, it's
wet.
It's a little wet.
The wet's getting us. But no, my argument is not that we should all have images of Christ in our homes, or that we need to be all drawing pictures of Christ. My argument is it's not a violation of the Second Commandment.
Yeah.
I think the movie argument is totally separate from our argument.
Well, no, it's all the same. People, if you give any ground to images of Christ, then they're going to take that and say we can do movies of Christ.
Yeah, but
what would be your argument to say that they couldn't?
I think that was a good argument, that we shouldn't be attributing human emotions that we don't know. Like, you're assuming a lot about how he would have reacted or how he would have anything.
All right. Well, then you're going to love
images.
You're going to love the rest of these.
Images don't do that.
All right. Let's keep going. Because they shape the viewer's thoughts of Christ according to an actor's appearance and not Scripture. Because they corrupt worship by directing spiritual affections toward a false image. That's the rub. That's where worship happens, and that's where we've got to be careful. This is why, like with Eastern Orthodox and them using icons, they spend hundreds of dollars to have these gold-laid, beautiful icons,
thousands,
and they sit and they venerate that.
Yeah, those people also worship. They also have mummified feet of saints that they pour water over
so they can drink.
Those people are nuts. So
well, there's that. Anybody in the EO, get out now.
It's nutty.
All right. I already read that. All right. So because they degrade divine majesty into visible form, contrary to God's jealousy for his glory.
Putting divine majesty into physical form is not degrading. It's literally what Christ did.
Yeah, but he's done that. But are we recreating? Are you a Catholic? We just recreate the over and over again. Every time we do the Mass, here we have him. No, we don't do that. He did that. He became incarnate. I don't then.
What does the Mass have to
I
do
don't
with
reincarnate him everywhere and every time that everybody makes an image of him.
No one's arguing that. Literally no one.
You just did.
Including Catholics.
You literally no, Catholics do in the Mass.
Yes, I'm saying,
That's what
but
I'm
even
saying. That's why-
Catholics are not saying that he's reincarnated when they make a crucifix.
No, but he is there physically in the flesh.
Not in the crucifix, not in images.
He's there. No, they literally they
completely jumped
re-sacrifice
arguments.
him during the mass every time.
He's in the elements supposedly.
Yes.
It's transubstantiation. I'm not
Sacrifice
sure if you're
over and
aware
over
of
and
how
over.
transubstantiation
Oh,
is
okay.
supposed to work. Like you're arguing, like you're completely jumping categories here.
No, what I'm pointing
You're
out.
arguing that what they do in the Mass with the Lord's Supper now applies to them in images. Of course it doesn't.
You appealed to the incarnation. My point to you is the incarnation is a one-time.
No, it's because you made a
thing.
ridiculous statement.
It's a one-time
You made a
thing.
ridiculous statement that you can't take. You shouldn't take the divine and put it in human
All right,
form.
two more.
That's literally what
Because-
the incarnation is.
Because images and movies, they train the soul to walk by sight, not by faith. And this is it has become. I said it in my post here this morning about, do we really need the entertainment culture to give us their imagination
No.
and these episodic,
We don't.
releases of him? But that's what happens. And now I'm trained on. That's so much more exciting than the Word. That's so much better than the Word.
It's not, first of all, and that's ridiculous.
agree.
And we agree on this totally. So
Yeah.
as far as when it comes to movies, all your arguments, I agree with you.
Well, what about here? Let's use it. Have you ever seen the Action Bible?
I think so.
Yeah, it's basically a graphic novel of the Bible,
Sure.
and so it goes through all that. It has a crucifixion and it has all this kind of stuff. Is that a problem?
I think there's probably problems in it. I don't think that it's a violation of the Second Commandment
To
necessarily.
have Jesus walking on water and all the different things. So now I depict that graphic novel of the Bible.
So if you had a picture of the water and a foot on the water, you would have a problem with that.
Yeah, now we're getting into some different things.
So this is
I
what-
I would not want to do that, and I've actually, because of a cover designer, had to cross that bridge where you're like, is this when you have just the feet and you've got blood trickling down from the feet and it says something?
Yeah, so the argument, so like in the original Ben-Hur, great movie, but the only depictions of Christ, you see his hand, you see his feet, you see him from behind. They don't depict his face because they were uncomfortable with that. They depict... There's a really loud truck.
Yeah, it was.
They depict Christ on the cross from a far distance.
Yeah.
So you're not getting detail.
I mean,
Are those things?
in the spectrum of things, I'm definitely going to be okay.
A little more okay.
A little bit more okay with that than I am just a straight on look at his face, see the blackheads in his nose type
Sure,
of
I
stuff.
don't know why the blackheads keep coming up, but
Just the rawness of that and the tight detail. We're in a high def society now.
what's the difference?
What's the difference between?
So you're depicting Christ, even if you see his hand, his feet.
Yeah,
you're
I'm not
still-
okay with it.
at all.
I don't want to.
But you did it.
No, I haven't. I'm saying I've had to cross that bridge where I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, I can't do that. I'm going to
Okay.
depict this in a
So
different
you
way.
didn't do it.
Yeah. What was it? It was like 2016, 2015. Around. I think there was a response to N.T. Wright, and there was a book that John Piper did that had the feet on the bottom of it and stuff. Even then, I was shaping my ideas about depictions of Christ.
So
then.
you think that nativity scenes are a violation of the Second Commandment?
No, if they don't have a baby Jesus,
Oh,
steal
okay.
that baby Jesus out of there.
If there's a baby Jesus in the nativity, you think that's a violation of the Second Commandment?
I do.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I would. Yeah.
So if you,
In fact, if you put one out and you find like you're missing your baby
I'm
Jesus,
missing my baby Jesus.
I may have been
You
the
took
person
it.
that came and took it and
Yeah.
burned it.
You're literally the guy that puts the little Jesus erasers on your you've got Jesus erasers like on the
I
door
have been
jambs
gi-
of your house.
I have been given
You've
somebody,
left them places.
no. That's the thing. So somebody was given some, and if you got to remember, I decapitated him and stuff and shot a little video
because
of
that
that.
makes it better.
Yeah, I just because it was that's
Posted a
blasphemy.
decapitated Christ eraser on your Facebook.
100%. What I had said is that it was there upright overnight, and when I got there in the morning, it was
had
topped
fallen.
over and its head was off and its hands were cut away. But no, one of the students from the War College put one of those up on my
Messing with
door
you.
frame
Yeah.
because they know.
Yeah.
They know where I stand.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Because no man has seen God at any time except as he is revealed in his word. And
Yep.
so what do you do with that?
You depict images of Christ, and it's no problem. You recognize that that's not Christ; it's a depiction of his humanity.
Let me put a fly in my own ointment. All right. What do you think of the Shroud of Turin?
I was waiting to bring that up. I think it's legit.
I kind of do too.
And here's what's fascinating to me, honestly. You look at the Shroud of Turin, and what they did is now they've taken in through, because of the computer technology, you can they've filled in the gaps or whatever, and it can pick more off than we can just looking at it.
Yeah, that 3D image of Jesus' face.
No. Well,
it's wicked.
not the 3D.
It's wicked.
So when they have done that, guess what he looks like? He looks like basically all the images that have ever been made of him throughout church history. So
he doesn't look like the Jesus Christ superstar, blue eye, effeminate.
I'm not. You keep jumping to movies. Like,
no, that's not a movie.
If you look,
that's not a movie. The image was it? Is it Michael
D'Angelo?
Yeah, his view, which is Jesus looks like a woman.
I have a much bigger. So when I was in London, I went through maybe it's called the Bible Museum, or not the Bible Museum, but it's some kind of museum I went through, and they had a whole section, massive section of historical European depictions of Christ.
Yeah.
And it made me angry. Not because, and at the time I was kind of on the fence of this, but it made me angry because so many of them depicted him as effeminate.
Yeah.
And that makes me angry.
When we first started the book of John, I put all the artist renditions of John. John looks like a woman.
Yeah.
And then when you see the Last Supper, and you have John leaning on Jesus's, they look like a gay couple.
It looks effeminate.
It's gay.
It's a problem.
And
yeah.
So anyways.
But yeah, the depiction of the Lord's Supper, it's like we could have problems with it, but I do not think it's a violation of the Second Commandment.
Yeah.
So that's where I land currently, and I've thought about this. I've been struggling with this since this was probably 2012. I started thinking through this.
Yeah, I think you need to struggle a little harder.
Sure.
You need to yeah.
I have come to. I do not have a problem with the nativity scene with a little baby there. I don't have any problem with that. I do not think it's a violation of the Second Commandment at all.
Bro, it's totally a violation.
It's not. I'm just.
I get that you don't worship that. I get that you would never do that. I get that you would tell your kids, we don't worship these kind of things. I get it. But to suggest that that's not formative, that actually doesn't do something to the hearts and minds, especially the young.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to teach your children, we don't worship this. I think it's natural. Like, none of my children have ever looked through a Bible, and we have over the years, we've had picture Bibles for children that have images in it. Never have I had a problem with my kids wanting to worship that. I just don't. It's not natural. I think you have to be perverted.
But isn't it formative in how they view things?
Well, I mean, what do you mean?
I mean, it's
they know.
Even the nativity scene. That's one of the reasons why we think all the wise men were there, because we always put them there.
Well,
it's this massive thing, and there's a camel, and there's a cow, and there's a pig, and there's a drummer boy.
Yeah. I don't even know where the drummer boy comes from, but I guess the song.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you have a nativity without a baby Jesus, you still have things that's not actually what it looked like. Like, I don't think Christ was born in a stable. Stable's never mentioned in the New Testament. I think they were probably staying with family, and in that area of the world at that time, they used to bring animals into their home like they still do in Ethiopia. They didn't have barns and stables and separate buildings.
I think we're going to have to go through what's in the birth of Christ scenes as they go through when, how, what. I think. What
do you mean?
I think you're wrong.
You think he was born in a stable?
No, I think you're thinking that he was in someone's house and that kind of stuff. I want to think through that.
No, do it, but he wasn't born in a stable. Like, I think that what happened is that Joseph and Mary showed up in Bethlehem. There's nowhere to stay, and they basically got stuck in a tiny little corner of somebody's home, and there's a manger as part of the house.
You should make a movie about this.
I'd rather not.
To formulate my view of how that looked.
I think we have lots of erroneous ideas.
I agree. And we get that from our culture and the stuff that's happening around there. So there's gonna be the chosen generation they're gonna be in their 20s, 30s, have their kids, and they're gonna think, yeah, Jesus did this and this and this, and none of that's in the scriptures.
Sure.
And the scriptures are not exciting anymore.
There's never a stable mentioned in scripture.
Yeah.
Zero, nothing.
Yeah.
And so we have formulated that because why? Because the culture that we live in, that's where animals are.
Yeah.
That was the European culture, and so that's where animals are, so they stick him in a stable. And now it's become such a thing that if I say that to Christians, they think I'm denying the Bible or something.
100%. Yeah.
And so we all have things like that. But that's a separate issue from, yeah, you do. But that's a separate issue from images of Christ violating the Second Commandment.
All right, well, I think we've cleared this up.
I don't have images of Christ in my home. I've thought about it.
Well, hey, rubber meets the road here, brother. Are you going to do this? Are you going to have images of Christ? You're going to have a picture of Jesus in your house.
I wouldn't have a problem with it, no. I've thought about looking for a copy of R.C. Sproul's paintings to get.
Dude.
Like, I am not bothered by it. Like, if I go in a Lutheran church or a Anglican church, which I've been in many that had images of Christ, stained glass windows or whatever, what have you. There's a good friend of mine in Jackson, Tennessee that is a music minister of a Lutheran church, and he gave me a tour, and we went through the liturgy and all those things because I'm fascinated by it. And they had pictures of Christ different places. It didn't bother me. And it still doesn't. I just am not bothered by it at all.
Yeah.
If I go through R.C. Sproul's house and there's a picture of Christ, I'm not like, I've got to tear this idol down. I'm
going all Jehu in that place, buddy.
Whipping out.
It's almost no quarter November, man. I'm going to go out with a blowtorch in this place.
And I recognize that I am diverging from at least the modern Reformed view of this. I don't think it's the historic Reformed view. Calvin allowed it. Luther allowed it. Most of the reformers allowed images of Christ.
Because they're Catholics. They didn't reform far enough. They needed. That's
why you can make that argument.
And everybody that you're advocating for are Paedo-Baptist as well, and so they're.
What's that got to do with it?
Because they didn't reform far enough. They didn't come out of it far enough. That's why. All right, let's wrap this one up.
All
Clearly, we've cleared this up for others. So
sure.
maybe somebody has some comments or a better argument than the ones
well,
that I
and
was
reach
trying to
out
make.
to us if you've got more questions, and I'd be happy to do this again.
Yeah, let's pick it back up because I want to interact with your inconsistencies.
Sure. I have not sat down and formulated all of my beliefs on this, like written it down, but I probably will at some point. But
all right, thanks for tuning in.
God bless.